got the perfect Christmas present, either for yourself, for someone listening to this, buying for me. But I don't know if this is your thing, but it's actually a Facebook product. And I think it's a good segue into today's topic about video. But have you heard of the Ray-Ban Stories by Facebook?
I have not heard of this, but I'm curious
Well,
about it. We can do a little Christmas in July theme here,
oh
Zach.
man, if these show up at my house next week, like I will be ecstatic. But Ray-Ban Sunglass Company, Facebook, whatever kind of company they've become, but it's essentially a pair of sunglasses with a built-in camera, so you can walk around and film your day. You can make videos and publish them directly to, Instagram stories, Facebook Reels. It's that kind of content. And I think the product is cool, but I question the use case of having a camera so accessible and kind of hidden too.
It definitely brings up some moral questions, I suppose, right? Of, are people going to be cool with you filming them if they don't realize that you're doing it? I remember a while back, there was a camera that it was a tiny little camera that you clipped on to your body, almost like a police body cam, but a smaller version of that. And it did the same thing. But I don't know, man. I mean, are people really interested in filming their entire day?
Dude, I'm just imagining, and I'm not going to name names, but I really hope some of my friends are listening to this. But I'm just imagining someone going to a concert and just filming every second and putting that on, social media. That would drive me crazy. But I'm on the Facebook product page as we speak, and it sounds like it's got some additional functionality: play songs, answer calls, take photos and videos. You can say, "Hey, Facebook," to talk to them. So it's a cool product. But Gabe, I'm guessing it comes at a premium price. How much would you be willing to spend on something like this, assuming you were going to buy one?
Well, I would spend $0 on this, but I got to imagine it's at least $1,000. I'd probably a couple $1,000, I would guess, because this is an early on prototype kind of thing.
You're pretty far off, Gabe. $299, but it looks like it's
Really?
20% off on the Ray-Ban website right
That's
now.
shocking.
So if I buy these now, I can have them on Wednesday.
Wow.
I'm
really surprised
bad
by that.
Oh yeah,
I thought they'd be way
is
more
it bad
money.
Like a piece of me is just kind of thinking grab a pair and show up to a meeting next week with these on. Hey man, they do have different styles though, so
I just want the team to give you a ton of
no
crap.
one would know. They do have different styles. So the high end one is $379, again 20% off the O3. So if anyone's listening and wants to try out some new Ray-Bans, get one with the camera, I guess. We're talking about video, and video being the future of content, Gabe. So what better way to use your sunglasses as the tool?
I guess so. Yeah, there you go. I mean, we were planning on talking about, how you can use your phone, but I guess you can just use your sunglasses and call it good.
My day would just be me going to Chipotle.
That's wild,
let me just say that now. Wouldn't be a podcast episode without dropping that.
Oh man, we've got to. I was gonna say we've definitely got a through line on these.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking, when we do the planning for these episodes, I was going through the notes of the last episode, and there was a comment about Qdoba or Chipotle, and I didn't remove it, I didn't delete it. So when I was looking through the notes for this episode, it was still in there. I'm like, dang, we're talking about that again. But here we are talking about it again. But enough of that. Enough of Mexican food. I don't want to get hungry.
Hey.
Gabe, we've got a fantastic episode today, and I'm just assuming it's going to be fantastic. Maybe it's total trash. But in the past, we've talked about video. We've talked about TikTok. We've talked about Instagram Reels.
Yes.
We've talked about all this fun stuff. But today, I think we should talk a little bit about, A, why are we telling people to go out and shoot video? And B, expanding off the why, let's talk about the tools that you and I use. And you and I are not, professionals running around with these big cameras or anything, but we have seen a lot of success just in producing videos, helping those make videos. So I think we have a lot to talk about today in terms of why and how. But Gabe, what is the why? Why is video so important right now?
It's, as you said, we're obviously not professional video people, but I think video is important for a couple of reasons. it is much more accessible for people like you and me to make quality videos without spending an insane amount of money. And I would say the other huge reason is because of how social media platforms are pushing video forward. My dad actually sent me an article, I think it was yesterday, um, titled "Is Instagram Dead?" And read through it, and it was basically talking about how Instagram as a photo sharing app specifically is pretty much dead, just because they've been pushing aggressively so much into Reels. And Facebook is doing the same thing. There's a bunch of news over the last couple of weeks about Facebook changing their UI on the app and pushing Reels more aggressively. The same thing has been done on Instagram. So with these social media platforms pushing video so aggressively, obviously things like TikTok and other social media platforms as well, video is just so much more pervasive. And it's, if you're not doing video, there's a huge portion of your customer base or prospect base that you're just not talking to because of how these platforms are pushing this forward. I don't know. What's your
I
thought
love
about
video
that,
content.
Zach? I know, yeah, obviously
Yeah,
engaging
and
with these platforms.
I may not be
Yeah, there
the
you go.
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok user that Gabe is, but I really like consuming video content. The time I spent on YouTube even is, we don't need to go there, but it's really the future of content. I mean, we've been seeing text. I mean, we started out with text post, blogs back in, I don't know, back in the day. I don't know whose day, but someone's day. It was text based, and then we kind of shifted into photos and people sharing photos. As you mentioned, Instagram. Everyone was that was the app. It was photos, but now we're seeing this new era of video content, arguably led by TikTok and everyone adapting. But video's not going away. We've seen the data behind video already. It's doing extremely well, but it's time to talk about how we should be getting into video and why.
Well, that's why and that's really why we wanted to do this episode is, everywhere you go, it's, oh, you got to do video. If you're not doing video, you're behind. Okay, well, how do we actually do that? And that's what we wanted to talk about today, was really kind of giving some practical tips and tricks around ways that you can use video in your marketing without having to spend an insane amount of money or, have an entire resource that's focused on it. Because I think there's a big intimidation factor with video as to why people don't do it. I know you've seen this in your past lives as well, and previous places that you've worked as well, Zach. There's just this big hurdle of getting people over. Actually,
oh, totally, Gabe. And one of the things we like to do here on the podcast is make things easy for the listeners. Allow you guys to take notes on some of this and go out and kind of build this into your strategy. So what we've done is we've made a list here of 5 video trends that you should explore, that you should go out and do. Honestly, if you do all 5 of these, definitely send us a message because we'd love to see it. But start with maybe start with a couple and see how those videos perform on your social media and on your website. But Gabe, let's go ahead and dive into this list a little bit. The number one thing, and this is one we've talked about in the past. So if you really want to hear more about this, go a few episodes back, and we've talked specifically about short form video. That's things like Instagram, Facebook stories, I guess Snapchat too, Reels, TikTok. But this is kind of the basis of what we see in 2022. These short 1-2 minute long videos, if even that, that people are sharing on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is obviously TikTok has completely taken off and has forced Facebook and Instagram, on both of those platforms to push Reels more aggressively. So as you said, we talked about that one kind of at length in previous episodes. So we don't necessarily need to go through all the gory details here, but it's a great way to get your message out. If you are a broadband service provider, we don't see a lot of other companies using these tools. So it's kind of a wide open space. And I think is a great opportunity to create either advertising content or just organic content to get messaging out.
And the one conversation I like to have with people is I always hear that, oh, I can't trust TikTok, so on, and it's cool. Okay, if that's if that's how you honestly feel and you don't want to use TikTok, cool, don't use it. That's your own problem. But that doesn't mean that short form video is going away. You can still use Instagram Reels, Facebook, Instagram stories. There's different platforms you can use. You can use YouTube even. So just because you don't like the platform does not mean you shouldn't like the content. So keep that in mind. Is you just need to find the right channel.
Yep.
The second one here, Gabe, is and this
Yeah,
is a good idea. I love
absolutely.
this one, but it's user generated content, and to me, this is people, maybe your customers, your
Hmm.
subscribers, whoever this may be. It's video that they create that you can then share on your channel. And the thing I like about this, Gabe, is, and I just told you about this yesterday, but people like authentic content. And what's more authentic than your own customers coming on
Hmm.
and doing a video about your product, about your service, whatever that may be? It's a great way to collect feedback too.
Yep. Yeah, and just to get really practical with this, I think the first question will be how do I actually get users to do user generated content? How do I get people to do this? Do a contest, or do something fun to get people to submit videos that you can then use in your marketing. Maybe just use them in your organic social feeds as well. But people love free crap. Figure out a way to give them something, even if it doesn't have to be something massive. But use that as a way to incent them to provide you this content, and then use it in a number of different places, both organic as well as even potentially paid social as well. So I've definitely seen
And Gabe,
folks
to
doing
your
that with
point,
good success.
collecting this feedback, everyone listening, raise your hand if you fall into this category. But I can't tell you the number of customers I have that do a photo contest where you can submit photos that can be used. It's the same thing. It's just a
Yes.
video. If you're doing this
Hmm.
already, collecting photos and sharing them in whatever material you make, I mean, realistically, this is the same thing. You're just doing video. So you probably already are doing it without realizing it. But it's super easy to get. Well, I shouldn't say it's super easy. It's easy to get this user generated content. The trick there is to then,
Hmm.
how do I share this? What's the message I want to use? Just adapting it into your strategy. But um, chances are you might already be collecting user generated content. You just need to add videos to that list.
That's a great point. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. I see that all the time with people doing the photo contest. It's a very similar thing. It's just with video instead of photo. So you could definitely take the things that you're doing there and forklift that over into
And
gathering
speaking of
video. I think it's a
authentic
great call.
contact, the next option we have, option number 3, is vlogs. And I think when people think of vlogs, they think of like, oh, who's vlogging? But I mean, providing a human face to your company. When I think of vlogging, I think of like, oh, I used to watch
Hmm.
Casey Neistat videos. I don't know if you know who this is, Gabe, YouTuber. He would just kind of vibe around New York City with his camera and just filming his day. So it was kind of, the day in the life thing. And I think what better way to do a day? Gabe, you and I
Hmm.
deal a lot with broadband companies. So I'm thinking of day in the life of maybe someone specific on your team, construction crews, whoever it may be at your company. But I would almost guarantee that content is very successful, because who doesn't want to see, how a fiber build is progressing? Who doesn't want to see that construction progress, or maybe what your customer support team does in a day? I think there's a lot of opportunity there to do a day in the life vlog style video as well.
Yeah, I agree. I can't. I think it was our colleague Tara who shared this video a few months ago, but there was one that she shared of a technician who went out because the internet had gone out in a particular area, and the technician went out, and the remote terminal where all of the internet was, where the technology was, had burned. And so this guy went out and he filmed himself kind of basically looking at this burned cabinet, and it was hilarious. And it just reminded me that, especially for broadband companies, so much crap happens out in the quote unquote real world, right? That we don't think about. We just think about, well, the internet comes to my house and it just works, right? But there's all this actual network equipment that exists out there in the real world that you have to deal with. That would be a super fun behind the scenes, especially when stuff doesn't go correctly as it sometimes does. Like maybe somebody shoots a line
Animals
with a
chew through the
gun,
line. I
or
see that one all the time
rams into
too.
it with their car, or
And Gabe, that's
exactly, animals chew
I mean,
through the
that's
line.
basically
Yeah, we hear
user
that one all
generated
the time
content
too.
right there. You're using your staff to collect it. But
It
this is
is.
another quote I
Yep.
like, and I don't know the exact quote, so we'll just talk through it. But it's along the lines of, the best ads don't feel like an ad. And to me, if you post a video like that on Facebook,
Mm,
people are gonna like it, engage with it, share it, whatever that may be. But it's not really an ad at that point, right? It's
hmm.
just your company out and about doing something. So I think that's just another fantastic idea. The next
Yeah,
option here.
agreed.
What,
Now the
should
next
we,
one,
okay,
the
let's do
next
this
one may
game.
be a
Let's
bridge too
skip
far
the
for me,
next
buddy.
one and do
So
the last
you're
one
gonna,
on
you
this
might have
list
to
and come
talk this
back
one
because
through.
I don't want to
So
like build this up and then come back down. But live video.
okay.
So now people are wondering what the last option is. We'll talk. Live video
Yes.
is the one I want to talk about, and this is one that like has been popular since I was in um, elementary school. I mean, I know like the Periscope app came out, and we were going live. I've mentioned this on the podcast in the past, but live
Hmm.
video is just not going away. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to go live. If you have a community event, grab a couple staff, put them in front of the camera, go live, talk about the event. Um, if you want to do like a live game show to engage your
Hmm.
followers too, I think that's a really fun and unique idea too. But live video is just, I really, if I see someone going live on Facebook, I will tune in just because I'm curious as to what's going on. I don't know about you, Gabe. Do you follow live videos much?
Not a lot. I've definitely seen them pop up, especially on Instagram when people, you see that notification that pops up, or at least I get it to my phone that says, so and so is going live. And that's, I think, another big reason why you would potentially want to do it, because it is sending that notification out to your followers that you are going live. But I do think it's a really untapped resource. I've seen, at least with the folks that I work with, a shocking amount of people tune into that content. God, I can't talk today. Tune into that content live. But the other great part about it is then you have that content that just sits on your Facebook page. And again, a shocking amount of people will go back and look at it later as well. So you've got that kind of long tail content that even if people miss it live, it's going to sit there
It's
on
like a
your
time
page
capsule,
and they
Gabe.
can refer back to it later. So I'm with you, man. I think live is yeah, exactly. Yeah, moment in time. But yeah, it's a great way to engage with folks out there in your community for sure. And the comment you made about, if you're out at a community event, that's a great way to do it too.
And
Kind of
schedule
show
these
people,
live
what's
broadcasts
happening
too,
in
so
the
people
community. So
can see
I
that
like that one
event
a
is
lot.
upcoming too. You don't just have to grab your phone and click go live and hope for the best. The one thing I
Mm-hmm.
will comment on is you have to be a little bit careful with live video, just because when you click live, that notification goes out. You got to give people a few seconds to join. One of my pet peeves is when
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of sit there and like, waiting for someone to talk or waiting for people to join. And to me, you kind of have to make some, I don't know what you call
Uh-huh.
this, intro filler content kind of thing, just to kind of keep things flowing. But you also don't want to like cut people completely out so they join the live and don't know what's going on. But that leads us into the last option here, Gabe. And
Yeah.
this is the one. Yeah, you
Can
bet.
I make one comment really quick? Can I make one comment quick, Zach? Just from a tactical perspective, a tool that you can use, at least for Facebook Live, one that I've seen people using is a product called StreamYard. And I don't think it's super expensive. I don't know all of the pricing details on it, but I think it's pretty cheap. There probably is even a free version. But that one I've seen work really well for Facebook Live because it does allow you to personalize a little bit at the beginning. So you can do a countdown. So, and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
alleviates the problem that you were talking about there, Zach, of that weird dead air at the beginning. It'll do a 15 or 30-second countdown where, okay, at least then people realize, oh, okay, well, they haven't started yet, but it's counting down and they're going to go live, and it creates a little bit of that anticipation. So that I think is a really good tool that I've seen work super well. Where you can, just set this up.
That's a
and
great
use
tool,
that to
Gabe.
go
I'm
live. So
I'm going
I
to
just
look into
wanted to
that
mention
one a
that as
little bit.
specific tool that you can use.
So
StreamYard
the
is a
last
good one.
video option, and this is something I would say this is like so new that if you do this one, you're going to be ahead of people. But what better way to get ahead of the competition, than being innovative like this? But um, virtual reality content. And the reason I put this one on the list is because um, I don't want to say in my opinion, but speaking based on facts, this platform is going to be very immersive to people, and you're really going to be showcasing an experience. The problem with this is it's such a new kind of technology. We've got Facebook's got the Oculus headset out, so we've got
Mm-hmm.
some platforms using some kind of VR content. There's always talk about what's Apple doing with virtual reality, but I think it's something that just look into a little bit. Maybe don't build a plan yet, but look into and see how you can leverage this in the future. If you're ready to go today, shoot me a message because I'd love to see how people do this. But Gabe, I always joke with you on the Zoom meeting specifically. We've got that immersive view that kind of gives us that immersive Zoom meeting feeling
Yep.
that you hate so much. We've seen this on Microsoft announcing the Teams, where you could
So
walk
dumb.
around the meeting room virtually. And there's just stuff like this that's going to be coming out. And I think it's just
Hmm.
one of those things that if you can stay ahead of it and kind of have that in your mind and think about it, um, these other things we talked about today, short form video, user generated content, vlogs, push those to the top of your content list. But please, somebody, do some virtual reality
Agreed.
content. I reach out. I will help you in the best way I can, but I would love to see someone leverage that as content.
Uh,
Reach out to me, not Gabe, because Gabe's going to
yeah.
turn you a different
Knock
way.
yourself out.
But um, so Gabe,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll point you at
so
Zach.
the next thing
Yeah.
I'll talk about here is kind of the types of content people are producing with video. And again, I've broken this down into
Hmm.
5 options, and I'm going to ask you where you think each one should live. Where should I publish this content? So the number one, and this one's number one because HubSpot has said that about 75% of videos created fall beneath this umbrella. And that's an explainer video. So that's a video explaining your product, explaining your service. Gabe, if you had an explainer video, where would you publish this?
So this type of content, I think, really makes sense for your website. If it's an explainer video, unless you can really condense that explanation in down into a very short period of time, probably not going to make sense for social media. People are not going to sit and watch a 3-minute explainer video on their social media feed. So you need to get people back to your website to, you know, help them understand what's going on with this particular thing that you're trying to explain. So I'd be a pretty firm believer of probably not on social. Makes
That's
a lot more
totally it,
sense on
man.
your website.
That's
What are
exactly
your
where you
thoughts on
want
that,
that
Zach?
video. And the good thing too about doing this on your website is you're driving people back to your website. You now have a reason for people to visit your website. So 2 things in here.
Yes.
And I should say this isn't to say you shouldn't post this on social media. I recommend you don't. You're just not going to have the engagement as some of the other things we talk about today. If I mean, speaking me
Mm-hmm.
myself, but if I go on Facebook and I see in a video explaining a product or service, I'm not going to watch that, you know. But if I see it on a website, I'm there for a reason. I'm curious. I'm going to watch that. So just making sure you have the right channel is huge. The next one is very similar to explainer videos, and that's
Mm-hmm.
presentation videos. So showing your audience why you're an expert. This can be anything from a virtual engagement, a webinar, whatever that may be, to you speaking about your product, whatever that is. But for this one, again, Gabe, same thing. This one's going to go on your website as well.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. And when you think about places to actually put this on your website, I've talked about this book before. They Ask You Answer, really great book. I would definitely recommend checking it out if anybody hasn't. But one of the things that's talked about in that book is the idea of if you have an FAQ page that has a list of questions that you've got and then answers to those questions for your most important FAQs, you probably should have a video that explains those as well. So that way people can consume it in multiple ways. If they want to read it, they can click on that and they can read through the FAQ and read through the answer. If they want a video that talks through it, have that option for them because as we've said, it's kind of through this whole thing, video is becoming more and more important. And if you have both of those options, you're going to have some people that learn better through reading. You're going to have some people that learn better through video. But at least take the time to create those 2 options for people so that they can have whatever resource they want. And that I think is true of both
That's
explainer
great.
videos
So
and
let's change the
presentation
video
videos. Zach.
style a little bit now. Video testimonials. So letting your customers talk. Gabe, where would you put this video?
Now, see, this makes a lot more sense for social, right? Now, maybe you could feed some of that back into your website as well if it makes sense. But these are the types of things that I think work really well on social, especially if they're vertical, short form video content. Those are great things to put in, reels and potentially onto TikTok and, all those sorts of places as well. So those types of short video testimonials. And as we talked about before, if you're gathering those, via your user generated content, conversations with your customers or contests or whatever, this is a great place to grab
Absolutely.
those.
And I guess the last category here, Gabe, is product demo. So this is going to be walking through your product. When I think of product demos, I like to think of like HubSpot comes to mind. Facebook does this too, but maybe you look up how to do something and someone's, walking you through what to click and where. Just that whole
Mm-hmm.
demonstration aspect. This obviously goes on your website. There's no way you'd want this on your social media. Now, that's not to say you can link back to it on your social media and promote it in some way. But if you're doing a product demo, having your phone out, walking through your app, whatever that situation may be, I would recommend putting that on your website. And it kind of leads us into the last part here, Gabe, is I mentioned linking back on social media, or how are we driving people back to your website? And that's when I think we should talk about video ads a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with ads specifically, I think I think there's a big reason people don't do video ads is because they don't necessarily know where to go to create the content. And this is a place where tools like Canva can be incredibly helpful, where there is so much content on a site like Canva. There's other resources as well. We have some at Calix that we have also around video, but Canva is just a great place to go if you're looking for inspiration. You can search for videos. You can search based on what format you want, whether it be vertical short form content or other. Great place to go. You can personalize it with your brand, your logo, those sorts of things, and then take that content and drop it into your social media in reels and stories and all of those wonderful places. So definitely recommend using Canva for video content specifically, just because they have a ton of it.
And the
out
thing
there,
I like about
and
Canva
be a
too,
great
Gabe,
jumping
is
off point.
if you get stuck in planning your content, if you get lost, you don't know what to do. I mean, it's a library of content. You can scroll through and see what they have, and then you can build it on your own
Mm-hmm.
system too, whatever that looks like. But I think it's a great resource for everything you mentioned and just kind of exploring what's out there too. Exactly.
Even if it's just for inspiration, even if you're just like, oh, I need, I'm stuck on this particular campaign, just go out there and just kind of look. And one of the things I really love about Canva too is once you start clicking on things, then it's going to show you content that's very similar. So you may find something that isn't perfect, but there's four other things that it's going to show you, four other pieces of content that it's going to show you that may fit, your theme better. So it's a really, I continue to be amazed by that tool and the fact that a huge portion of it is free. Now there obviously is a paid version as well, which
I mean, you
again,
can trial
the
it,
paid
see if you
version
like
is
it.
not wildly expensive, but there's a ton of free content that's out there. Yeah, true, exactly. But I mean, I've had the free version for a while, and I've been able
So,
to find
Gabe,
just about
speaking
everything
of
that I've needed.
Canva, I think that's a good segue into the next topic here, and that is, what tools do I need to do all of this? Do I need to go out and buy cameras, microphones, all of
Mm-hmm.
this software, so on? No, you don't. I'll just give you the too long didn't read. No, you don't need any of this. The best camera, and I've always said this, is going to be the camera that's in your pocket. So if you got an iPhone, an Android phone, whatever you have, that's absolutely acceptable to start. I mean, if you're looking at user generated content, even, no one's walking around with these big video cameras. I mean, they're filming with the phone in their pocket. So, and I think we're at a point in,
No.
when in phone technology and camera technology that all of the flagships just have amazing cameras. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that. Well, whether Samsung, iPhone, Google, they all just have great cameras. So the equipment you need is, I mean, you can go out and buy a camera,
Yeah.
but if you're just starting out on video content, use your iPhone camera. I think it's a great place to start.
Totally. Oh yeah, it's as you said, the cameras in our pockets are insanely high quality now. Now, I do think there's some things that you need to do depending on the type of content you're putting together to make it look a little bit more professional. One thing I would recommend if you're doing vlog content, or if you're doing this kind of talking to camera, much like Zach and I do now, get yourself at least a nice tripod that you can put your camera on. That way you can
You don't want like
angle it
that
correctly.
looking
You can,
like
make
up
sure
at
that
your
it's all set up
face from
that
like below,
perspective.
or
Yeah, you don't want the like weird looking
yeah.
up at your
And
face,
to
up
that
your
point,
nose.
Gabe,
That's always a weird look. So at least get yourself a nice tripod, and that's like $15 on Amazon, right? Like we're not talking
and
about
let's say
anything
you're going to be going
expensive.
out
They're
in the field and
ridiculously
filming
cheap.
things, and this is something I have a lot of experience on. Gabe, I shared
Mm-hmm.
with you a video that I had produced at an internship in college, and I filmed the whole video
Yeah.
with my iPhone on a gimbal. So I put it on my 3-axis gimbal to stabilize it. It was a not to like promote the product, but I will absolutely say it's been my
Mm-hmm.
favorite one to use. DJI Osmo Mobile, fantastic product. You sit your phone in this, and I should have brought it. Now that we have camera, I could have shown you it. Um, it's in my hiking backpack because I take it hiking with me now if I'm out shooting video. But it stabilizes the video, so you get that nice, stable kind of cinematic look to it. It looks very professional. So I feel like you have levels of video.
Yep,
Yeah, and I
it
feel like
does.
you
It
have
looked
levels of
really,
video. If you want
really
like a
professional.
super, um, I feel like high
Mm-hmm.
quality, public TV movie level thing, that's when you need an actual camera. But like the step below that is going to be phone on a gimbal. I mean, combine those two things, and you'll have a very nice
Yep.
produced video. I can't speak highly enough about the gimbals. And I will say,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's exactly it was
Did you say
120
that thing
bucks.
was like
And the thing
120
is too
bucks?
is I didn't necessarily need it. I think that most phones have some kind of stabilization in them now, but it's a huge difference. Like film a video with and film a video without, you'll notice it. It looks very professional.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It makes a big difference. I agree. And as you said, it's not expensive. 120 bucks. I mean, that's not, we're not breaking the bank here, but it does up level it. And that video you sent me looked great. I was really impressed. It looked very professionally done. And I do think just that little additional thing of getting the gimbal to put your phone
Well,
in,
Gabe, I told you the
to
same thing.
stabilize it
This
makes a
was
big
college
difference in
internship, but I
outcomes
remember
for
like
sure.
when my boss had this project idea, and I remember like telling them that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna film this with my phone, and I think there was some like you're doing what kind of conversation, but then like once you like see the setup, it's like trust me on this one, and thankfully they did trust me,
Uh,
and the result was fantastic. So I will vouch for using your phone and a gimbal. Um, it's
no, the
it's
result
a
looked
budget
great.
friendly solution. Speaking of budget friendly solutions, though, Gabe, you've got to edit the video, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
everyone's favorite thing is to learn new software. So, what's the best way
Hmm.
to do this? And I'll be honest, I'm a big Apple user. So, I got my iPhone, I've got my Mac. It's not uncommon for me to joke about Windows and whatnot, but uh, I mean, when we edit these podcasts, I kind of a hybrid solution here, but I'm mostly using iMovie. Like it's a free software that came with my Mac. It's what I have access
Hmm.
to, and it's what I'm using. In the past, I've used iMovie a lot, but I use things like Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro, and I just hate Adobe Premiere Pro, so we'll just not go down that path. But you know, I've got access to iMovie. It's doing exactly what I need it to do. It looks professional. I think it's a great solution. Now I am combining iMovie with Adobe right now, so when you look at these podcasts and see it come together, that's what you're seeing is that hybrid approach. But I just think that if you can use the software that's available to you and maybe something that you're comfortable with too, like don't go out and try to learn some new software and make a half decent product if you don't know what you're doing. Do what's comfortable and what you can do. Like I said,
Hmm.
start small and kind of as you go down this route, you pick up new tricks and learn new things, and you can adapt that into your editing. But for the most part, iMovie's on my Mac. iMovie comes with every iPhone, every iPad. You have access to it. If you don't like iMovie, there's tons of video editing apps out there. My Android friends, my Windows friends, I don't know off the top of my
Hmm.
head. I'm sorry, but I mentioned product demos a little bit ago too. And when you're doing a screen share, even on a Mac, I'm using QuickTime. I'm using a free software to record my screen.
Hmm.
If I plug in my iPhone to my Mac, I can then select my iPhone as a screen and do it through QuickTime too. So just kind of know what tools are available to you. And I think the reason I specifically brought up sharing your iPhone screen is Gabe, you and I, we do a lot of app demos. We've talked about we've got the Adobe Photoshop templates we
Yes.
share. We've got these video templates and everything. If you have an app, you need to be
Hmm.
promoting that. And video is just a super easy way. Whether you have an employee sitting down talking about your app, you have the silent demo on your website, whatever that may be, um, is definitely a way to utilize video.
I love that content of split screen with app phone screen on one side and the person talking to the camera on the other. I think that's super effective. And to your point, Zach, QuickTime and, using your Apple, if you're using Apple products, is a great way to do that and make it easy. And I think those are super effective. I've seen customers doing those, broadband service providers doing those types of videos, and I think they're really effective because you're getting that best of both worlds. It's a personal connection with the person that's talking to the camera, and it's also insight into how to actually use the product. So that, to me, when we go back to that explainer video, or presentation video, those are the types of pieces of content we would really recommend starting off with, especially because those are things that people probably feel fairly comfortable talking about, especially if they're using it in their own home. They can even maybe talk about the experience that they have with their kids if they're talking about enhanced parental controls or something like that. So it's a really great way to push app, some of the value.
I totally agree, Gabe.
That
and
selling around the
I think the last thing I wanted to talk about today, Gabe, and this is a little self-promotion-y, not for me, so don't get too worried here. But Gabe, you publish videos to your LinkedIn twice a week, weekly. What is your cadence? It's
usually at least twice a week. It kind of depends on how much stuff I have to talk about and how many ideas I have. But yeah, I do explainer videos. I do some of those on Excel.
I thought I could keep
big Excel guy.
I thought we could keep Excel out of the podcast. But here I am. Let's talk about Chipotle now. But the reason I bring this up, Gabe, is you've obviously, this is something new to you. You just started doing this recently, but you've got a few months down now. I know you've got a few tools you use. All of this being new to you, but can you walk me through a little bit about what you do and how you do this?
Sure. So I started off just doing them with my iPhone. So I bought the little tripod and I set my iPhone up and I started, talking to the camera and just doing the videos that way. And that worked great when I was just, sort of talking through things and sharing experiences that I've had with customers or, just marketing stuff in general. That worked great. And when I was using my phone, I was using a product called Mix Captions, which allows you it'll auto transcribe all of your words into subtitles, which is really nice because that's when I started doing the videos. My main thing was I don't have a ton of time to do these, so I wanted to make them easy. And the auto subtitle tool that was this Mix Captions app was super easy. So download the app on your phone. It's not free, but it's not insanely expensive. And what I've found is that a lot of people will watch your videos on mute. So if you don't have subtitles on there, you're missing out on a huge portion of people that would consume your content if you don't put subtitles on. So that was how I started out, was with my phone and then with this Mixed Captions app. I've recently converted to another product called Veed, V-E-E-D. It's Veed.io. And that allows me to actually do the same thing, but through my computer. So if I want to do screen share, and if I'm doing one of my Excel videos where I'm talking about a specific function, I can share my screen, also talk to the camera, and it also does the auto subtitles. So to me, it again, does it cost a little bit of money? Yes, it does. But to me, it's totally worthwhile because then I'm not having to type in a bunch of, subtitles of what I was saying, or, just going without. And I think it's made a big difference in the experience that people have when they're consuming the content, because again, they don't have to turn on the sound, and many people don't. I mean, I do that a lot. I don't know about you, Zach, but as I'm scrolling through content on LinkedIn or, even scrolling through other content on, I think TikTok has done a lot for subtitles as well, right? Where, people watch TikTok content on mute and they just
absolutely, Gabe.
consume
I
it through subtitles.
Right. I can't count the amount of times I scrolled through LinkedIn, like your basic business professional adult now, and just seeing these videos with captions, your videos being some of them. And then my thing too is once I'm drawn into the video, maybe I'll click into it and be like, let's see what this is all about. At that point, I might kick the audio on, but seeing the captions basically, it's like giving me a preview into what the video is about.
Yes, absolutely. I personally, and I don't know if maybe I'm an outlier here, but I probably watch more LinkedIn content on mute than I do with the sound on. I mean, that's how I consume most video content.
Consume all the LinkedIn content at this point. But Gabe, I want to thank you for sharing that with us. I think those are some great tools that people can use. So thanks for sharing those. But for everyone else, thanks for joining us today. We really enjoyed this discussion on video and why you should be using it. So don't be Don't be afraid to follow us on your favorite podcast app. Speaking of video, Spotify has video, and that's where our video podcast is located. You can also find us on YouTube as well. And as always, feel free to connect with both Gabe and myself on LinkedIn and visit our website to send us a message. That's all we've got for this week, but we'll talk soon.